Thank you, April, and thanks everybody for joining us. Wow, what a great group already! I was really smiling as I saw the number of participants just rolling up. So thanks for being here. I'm Randy Romanski, Secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection. So I just wanted to start off by saying thank you. Your engagement in creating resilient and equitable local food systems in Wisconsin is important to building partnerships and infrastructure so producers, processors, and consumers can be connected for years to come. In the past 3 years, we've seen how valuable and impactful local food system partnerships can be in providing for our communities. This administration has continually supported Wisconsin's agriculture industry and food insecure residents. Since the beginning of the pandemic, Governor Tony Evers has allocated $65 million to hunger relief organizations in Wisconsin through the Food Security Initiative. This investment has helped to build infrastructure for cold storage and trucking for pantries and food banks across the state. And I've had a chance to visit a few of them along the way. And it's just, it's really impressive to see the networks that have been, that are already in place or they've been strengthened by these partnerships. Just last week, I had a chance to visit the Oshkosh Area Community Pantry and was able to learn more about their infrastructure improvements and food procurement, both made possible through the grant programs in the Governor's Food Security Initiative. That initiative has also allowed us to connect the dots between producers, distributors, hunger relief organizations, and food pantries. This allows each of these partners to play a role in providing Wisconsin food to underserved communities. We're so fortunate to live in a state like Wisconsin where we grow, produce, process so much. And it's been tremendous to see these partnerships develop. So we're not just feeding those who are food insecure, but we're feeding them with fresh, wholesome, locally produced food right here in the state of Wisconsin. And that's tremendous. Over the last few years, innovative programs that emphasize the importance of connecting farmers with communities have launched across the state. Two of these programs have become nationally recognized, including the Tribal Elder Food Box Program, facilitated through Feeding Wisconsin, and the Badger Boxes created by the Hunger Task Force. Both of those programs are championed by strong partnerships between farmers, processors, distribution companies, and hunger relief networks. Recently, we were fortunate to sign a cooperative agreement with USDA, allowing DATCP to establish a Wisconsin local food purchasing assistance program. That's a mouthful. Through listening sessions with stakeholders, DATCP and program partners were able to design a plan for this program, which will help build Wisconsin's local food system network. Now, the program's going to work to partner with producers and build the distribution systems that are needed to move food into the hands of those that need it the most. And before I was talking about how we're fortunate to live in a state that grows, produces, and processes so much, unfortunately, we also live in a state where there are many people who are food insecure. And at DATCP, we view our role is to serve as a resource to farmers, processors, and consumers, to connect those dots, to shrink those barriers so that people who are food insecure have partners to help them when they may need it the most. One of the ways that we do try to be a resource is through informative webinars like this. We also have helpful and knowledgeable staff who can serve as a resource to you. April Yancer is one of those resources. She serves as DATCP's farm to school and institution specialist. So today, April and our partners are going to share some more about the Wisconsin LFPA program and how you can partner in this program. So I referenced that we are a resource to you. Clearly, as I mentioned in my remarks up to this point, you're a resource to us as well. I mean, we operate in partnership. No one person, no one group can do it all and can make these connections between food and those who are food insecure. So that's why it really takes the partnerships that we've been able to see develop, and some partnerships that we hope to continue to see grow and expand as a result of efforts like this. Thank you for having me join you today. I look forward to seeing the development of this important program. I can't stay on for the entire time, but I'm going to stay on for a while to just kind of listen to some of the conversation. I wanted to say sincerely to all of you, thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for ongoing partnerships and connecting people to food. April, I'll turn it back to you.
Great. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate all of that and you being here. And I will move on to our next slide, Jennifer, and we can dive into the details of the Wisconsin LFPA. So in the work that we've done, all of us and many of us on this call, in fact, with the ARPA dollars and the CARES Act funding that Secretary Romanski mentioned earlier, we have learned a lot about what is needed for our producers and our food security partners in connecting local foods and really creating equitable access for people throughout Wisconsin. So with this program, we have decided to go from the ground up, literally, starting with our farmers and looking at what our farmers need in order to engage this market and their community members and making sure that food is really reaching everybody in need. So we have designed this program to support our producers based on what we've learned over the past couple of years through engaging our other programs. So as we have developed this, we are investing in our Wisconsin local food systems towards equitable access throughout the state. And in doing so, we identified the needs that are listed here, that we need to further develop our local food network, our food system partners, and our food security partners. We have strong food security partners and strong local food system partners, and we need to bring those groups together and start really understanding what the needs are from both ends of that supply chain and everything in between. So we are going to start with investing in our small scale, socially disadvantaged and historically underserved farmers and help them have the resources that they need to build their businesses to engage this effort. We also know that we need to bolster our local food aggregation and distribution businesses and start making deeper connections and partnerships there. We are going to engage our underserved communities and really understand what food needs are there and what partners are in those communities, what's already happening. This project is really to support innovative solutions and rebuild our regional food systems that truly support equitable access. And then we are also, could you go back one more slide? Thanks. And then, you know, really the end goal of all of this is to forge new partnerships that really create resilient communities. So we know who we know, we don't know who we don't know, and we hope that through this process that changes a little bit, and we have new partnerships that can really create some innovation and some progress in food access around the state. Thanks, Jennifer. So in order to do that, we have partnered with three major agricultural partners in the state of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Farmers Union, they are working in this partnership to be the communication hub, develop a website, work on some mapping efforts and directories so that our food security partners and our agricultural partners can really find each other. We'll be working with the Wisconsin Food Hub, who has been working in this realm of food security, logistics solutions, storage, and distribution. And through this project, they're also going to be really looking to engage additional local food aggregators and distributors to see how across the state we can work together to move food to each community that needs it. And then Marbleseed, last here but not least, they are going to be taking on the role of food purchasing. They have the procurement dollars, and they will, and I'll let them go into that further, but they will be purchasing food from farmers. They'll be providing education and technical assistance to our producers, and they'll also be looking to engage partners with community organizations that support farmers. So as I said before, we don't know who we don't know yet, and we're hoping that through this process, we'll meet more organizations that are supporting local farmers and their efforts, and that they will be able to connect to Marbleseed and collaborate. Next slide. Thanks. And so with that, I'm going to hand over the conversation to Lauren from the Wisconsin Farmers Union, and she's going to talk about her role, about their organization and the role that they'll be playing in the Wisconsin LFPA. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren. I'm with Wisconsin Farmers Union, and I wanted to just start off by sharing a little bit about Wisconsin Farmers Union as an organization. So we've been around getting close to 100 years now in the state of Wisconsin. We're a membership-based organization, and I've posted our mission here so you can take a look. But really, we're focused on whatever our members think will really help family farmers and rural communities, particularly in the areas of education, cooperative endeavors, and civic engagement. You can learn more about the organization by going to our website, wisconsinfarmersunion.com, or checking us out on social media. Our handle is also on this slide. But let's go to the next slide, and I can share in a little bit more depth what Wisconsin Farmers Union is about. So we're the second largest membership-based ag org in the state of Wisconsin. We have chapters all across the state. And I'm really excited to see a lot of our members actually already on the webinar, which is fabulous. We have really engaged members, and every year we gather, this year will be in December, down actually in the Wisconsin Dells, to go through our policy book and figure out exactly what issues are important to the farmers of Wisconsin. We use a democratic process. And I share this because, you know, we're a big tent organization. We have a lot of different types of farms. We have a lot of different food system champions, but everybody is supportive of this family scale agriculture, making sure that our farmers are able to survive. And that's a large part of why we're actually engaged in this project. We also do a lot of other fun things, including youth education and programming out at Camp Kenwood and elsewhere around the state. And we've been involved in a pretty long history since our founding in the 1930s of solidarity with laborers across the food system and making sure that there's economic justice for everybody who's involved in agriculture. And you can go to the next slide, which brings me to the reason that we are actually involved in this project. So our members are always looking for ways to actually improve the whole food system and make sure that we're able to connect our farmers with our eaters and our grocery store owners and our restaurateurs and our institutions and everywhere that food is needed, which is an amazing amount of places when you really think about it. So we have joined into this project to help with a local foods directory. And I know that there are a lot of really great directories already started around the state. We're hoping to collaborate with as many of them as possible and try and create a space where our farmers all across Wisconsin can list themselves and be found. So whether it's a direct-to-consumer or a direct-to-consumer relationship where someone is trying to find a farmer or an institution that's looking to find farmers in their areas, this directory will be able to help us identify folks. You'll be able to search by category and by zip code in particular, which will really help identify the people who are in your area. And we're still figuring out kind of the details of all of this. I'll be very honest about that. but we have a platform and we're working on it and hope to have it live in the next month or so here. Another piece of this is that we'll be trying to support our network in lots of different ways. One of them is through our website, and I'll get to that in just a moment, but we'll be helping people to connect with all of the different aspects of this project and the various partners who you'll be hearing from today. A big piece of that is just making sure that producers in particular understand what kinds of opportunities exist to connect with particularly hunger relief organizations, but also all of these other really important food system components that we've been learning about as we've involved ourselves in this project. So we want to make sure that this directory is really valuable to everybody. Producers will be able to list themselves with some information about their farm and their products. Again, some more details will be coming, but we'll also on our website here, Wisconsin, wilocalfood.org, you'll be able to look at some of the different resources available through many of the hunger relief organizations around the state. And again, the project partners, there will be events and resources and different things listed there as they kind of come to fruition over the next couple of months here. And you can advance to the next slide. This is just a quick preview so that you don't all have to furiously go to your web browsers and open up that website. There isn't a whole lot on it at this point, but it is live. And down at the bottom, you will be able to put your name in and your email address and sign up for some more information as it starts to come together. But as you can see on the upper right-hand corner here, we'll have those partners, we'll have those resources, and then we'll have that actual directory available as well. And so keep watch on this website over the next couple of months into mid-December and into January. It will be starting to populate with a lot more opportunities for folks to connect with all of these really amazing projects going on around the state. We really find it important that we're not duplicating efforts and we're not starting from scratch. We're not reinventing the wheel. We want to bring in everybody who's been doing great work and help amplify and make sure that everyone knows about all the fabulous opportunities available across Wisconsin. So that's the majority of what I wanted to share. I can certainly pass it along to our next partner and we'll be available to answer some questions after all the partners have shared their pieces.
Thank you, Lauren. And I'm sure people are starting to have some questions and we will have questions at the end, but we'll go through all of our presentations first. So I'm going to pass it over to Lori Stern. She is the Executive Director of Marbleseed, and she will be sharing with us their role in the Wisconsin LFPA. Thank you.
Thanks, April. Good morning, everybody. So as April said, I'm Lori Stern. I'm the Executive Director at Marbleseed. Some people on the call may remember us as Midwest Organic Sustainable Education Service, or MOSES. We're so excited to be part of this project. I have the project team with me on the webinar today, so you'll hear from a few voices because I think the folks that are going to be doing the work with farmers directly are the folks y'all want to hear from the most. So I'm really excited that they're here with me on the call. So they'll be introducing themselves as we go through the slide deck. The next slide. So essentially, Marbleseed as an organization is also very invested in seeing a healthy local food system. And we really understand our scope to be the farmer-facing piece of that, although we engage across the agricultural ecosystem and try to add value where we can. We recognize that our long history with farmers is really what brought us to this project and will enable us hopefully to really, as April said, start from the ground up as we think about addressing food insecurity in our state. So we know through the many years that we've been operational that farmers really do turn to us for practical advice and education. And we recognize that in this desire to work with a more diverse group of farmers to address food insecurity and also to kind of serve the larger food system, that there are issues of scaling up and infrastructure that we can be helpful in, and as we have been in the past. And so we're really looking forward to kind of expanding that work to a broader network of farmers to increase their own markets, which is really exciting. Next slide. So essentially here we'll just lead with our mission statement. So typically we do function in the organic space. We do a lot of work with producers that are interested in transitioning to organic. For this project, we continue to serve all sorts of farmers, and we're really excited to do that outreach and recognize that many of the farmers that will be involved in this project are already farming in ways that heal the planet and are looking to bring benefit to their own communities. Next slide. So essentially, this is kind of how we think about our work and how we have over this last several years that we've been around is we do education, we provide resources, and we have expertise. So I'll just kind of go over those real quickly, each one by one. So we'll start with education. So next slide. So these are some of the ways that we already are doing farmer to farmer education. So we do a mentorship program. People can apply for a mentor and they can be specific about what kind of farm business that they're hoping to launch or an expansion of a farm business they already have. And they can be paired with a mentor who has already gotten that experience and can share what they've learned, which is a really exciting program. We've been doing that mentorship program for over 14 years. We have field days that happen usually in the kind of spring, summer, fall. Again, lots of different production types, the opportunity to go and walk a farm, meet the farmers, see their operations. So we do that. Grower groups is a relatively new effort. We're really leaning into this farmer self-organizing and giving space and tools for farmers to come together in and talk about anything of interest to them. And it can be production, it can be policy, it can be all manner of things, but it just enables farmers to come together. Maybe they're trying to solve a problem in a particular production area and they can kind of go out and give it a try and come back to the group. So often kind of termed communities of practice, but those are our grower groups. And then we have organic specialists as part of the staff at Marbleseed. So if there's a question that you have about growing vegetables or fruit orcharding, we have folks on staff that can answer those questions. And so as adult learners, it's nice to be able to help farmers, once they have a specific need, connect with the person that can help them with that. Next slide. So we also kind of are known for having the largest convening of organic farmers in the country. This will be number 34 coming up here in La Crosse in February. We usually have 2,500 to 2,800 people, over 175 organizations and businesses that are exhibiting that have everything from seeds to information on cost share programs for certification, conservation services on farms. So we're really excited that as part of this project, the farmers that we engage with will be able to be at the conference. It's an amazing opportunity to network and have those conversations in hallways and in the exhibit hall that really can move a business forward and make the connections that people find most valuable. And then we've done a lot of farmer resources over the years. Here are some examples. We do a seasonal newsletter that goes out. We have e-news, we have guidebooks, we have our website, which we just relaunched with our new name. And it now features a searchable database. So you can go on that website and find exactly the resource you're looking for. And as we go forward, we're translating as many resources as we can into other languages, and the website itself is translated. So we're excited to offer that platform. Next slide. And I'm going to turn it over to Tori Ostenso, who's kind of leading up our LFPA group at Marbleseed for the next few slides.
Hello, I'm Tori and I'm the Farmer Network Manager here at Marbleseed. So I will be overseeing this project with our LFPA specialists who will be more directly doing the contracting with farmers. But to start, our role will be buying food for communities, providing those grants to farmers. We have $1.5 million to get to farmers in food purchasing dollars, and we budgeted about 150 farmers getting somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 per awardee. For those farmers, we're targeting 80% of the dollars to go to BIPOC, beginning, and veteran farmers. And how that will be defined is based on the USDA definition. And so that's going to be using the USDA definition for socially disadvantaged, which is a farmer or rancher who is a member of a socially disadvantaged group, which is a group whose members have been subject to discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, age, disability, and where applicable, sex, marital status, familial status, parental status, religion, sexual orientation, genetic information, political beliefs, or because all or a part of an individual's income is derived from any public assistance program. And then we also included the historically underserved farmers in this agreement, which adds veterans and beginning farmers to that definition above. And so the way that we plan to be doing this is starting in the end of November until the beginning of February, providing pre-season contracts for farmers, and the farmers will be able to choose the price that they would like to sell their produce for this program. You can go to the next slide. So our role is matching farmers with food insecure communities as well. So working with partners to determine what communities are the most food insecure, keeping the food as local as we can. So hopefully matching farmers in the nearest area to these food insecure communities so it doesn't have to travel so far. And then also producing the food that communities want or need based on surveys that different partners are doing at this time and what we're hearing from the community as well. And then another role is farmer education and training. We'll be providing some of this in a lead up to our conference, and then also throughout the project, we'll have a food safety training. We'll be training farmers in supply chains and how to kind of scale up their farm to meet like institutional and wholesale market demands. And then also this role of farmer technical assistance will be done mainly by our 2 LFPA specialists. They'll be supporting farmers in farm and business planning, efficiency, and meeting the contract obligations. So helping them with paperwork and whatnot. All right, and then I think I'm turning this over to Daisy, who is one of our local food purchasing specialists, for the next couple slides.
Guys, to see some of you guys that I've worked with in the past and working with in the future here. So Marbleseed, for the next couple of steps, we're going to be basically it's kind of a ongoing process. Let's just say that the procurement grant applications will be available on November 30th. There will be a reminder sent out. Farmers' contracts are we chose. Oops, sorry, my dogs. The farmer contracts will be out. Sorry about that. We are at my farm right now. A little affected with animals and kids. By February 3rd, the farmers by February 3rd, the farmers contracts will be allocated, and then on the 23rd, we'll choose to work.
Oh no, it looks like Daisy is frozen, so I'll hop back in here again. We love rural broadband, things we should all be working on, right? All the time, in addition to everything else. So again, as Daisy started to say, we'll be doing kind of inreach and outreach. April had kind of mentioned at the top of the call, this ability that we have and some funding in our budget to do the partnership work with other organizations and folks that are working closely in many of the communities of farmers that we're hoping to reach with these contracts. And so we'll be doing that work, making that application available, giving a lot of time before between the availability of the application and then the contracts to farmers. Again, making, as Tori mentioned too, the connection between where our insecure communities, food insecure communities happen to be, where farmers happen to be, and really trying to do what we can to keep local food local. And then again, I had kind of highlighted our conference that happens in La Crosse. So we're excited to bring our producer group for this project to La Crosse to kind of experience the magic that happens there, but get a lot of information about how the program will roll out and the support that they're going to get. They can meet Tay and Daisy there, and also meet each other and kind of become a support group for each other, as there may be markets that are going to require some aggregating and cooperation among the various producers. Next slide. So these are just some additional resources that we have for farmers. Again, I talked about many of them at the top. And then the last one is this Ag Solidarity Network, which we try to launch collectively. This is not a Marbleseed specific resource, but it's basically a network for farmers without kind of the meta monster. So if you're sick of Facebook ads and want to just connect with each other, and it maps everybody when you sign on, and you can jump into different production method groups and make those connections. So that's an ongoing resource as well. And we'll probably post this webinar there so that we can reach more farmers that way too. Next slide. Yeah, so Tay, you want to jump in and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Tay Fatke. I'm based in Milwaukee, and then in the growing season, I go up to Door County and Sister Bay and farm with my parents. Sorry, dog also over here. So my background is in food safety. So I've worked as a GAB auditor as well as a consultant across Wisconsin. And then immediately before this, I was working in organic certification. So I have a background in that as well, and have just been working on farms across Wisconsin, across the Carolinas and California, and really excited to be working in this program and just working with local food systems and helping growers with anything they may need.
Awesome. Thanks, Tay. And this is his first day on the job too. So we're really excited to have Tay here. And I don't know, Daisy, is your internet any better? And you can give a little bit about your background. Maybe not. Yeah, so I'll just say Daisy is up in the Ashland area and has participated in a program similar to this one, and with the last iteration of dollars that April had mentioned. And based on the picture, you can see her farm focuses a lot on livestock. So we're really excited that we've got Tay and Daisy and Tori as a team here at Marbleseed, and have a cross production methods with a vast knowledge of, from food safety to business planning to how you price products. So we're excited to be the team that can help farmers meet the demand and address food insecurity. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Marbleseed team. Now we're going to hear a little bit from Tara Roberts-Turner and possibly Sarah Lloyd on the work that they're doing at the Wisconsin Food Hub and their role in the Wisconsin LFPA. Thanks, Tara.
Thanks, April. Sorry, guys, it looks like it's snowing here, but it is not. I'm just having some camera difficulties. I'm super excited to be here with you, along with Sarah Lloyd from the Wisconsin Food Hub Cooperative. And we can go ahead and proceed to the next slide. I'm just going to take a very quick moment and talk to you about what the Wisconsin Food Hub Cooperative is, and then I'm going to jump right into the aspects that we're going to have in LFPA. So the Wisconsin Food Hub Cooperative was formed around 10 years ago. We're a farmer-led cooperative owned by our farmer members and the Wisconsin Farmers Union. When we first started up, we were running virtually, and a couple years later, we moved into the warehouse in Wapaka that we are in now. Shortly after that, we realized a number of things that April talked about at the beginning, which is, again, needing the logistics to get to our farmers and get their product to the end users. So we started our own transportation company called WFHC Transport. Shortly after we created our transport company, we were able to start diving into working with smaller growers because we had the ability to do smaller pickups. And this also allowed us to do collaborative work on food security and access. And that work has included working with the Hunger Task Force on the Badger boxes, working with Feeding Wisconsin on the Tribal Elder box, as well as co-creating our own box this year with Wisconsin Early Childhood Association. So we're jumping right in and we're looking forward to continuing this work. We can go to the next slide. So the Wisconsin Food Hub Cooperative was originally developed to set up a way for farmers to get their product into wholesale, which goes to mostly retail and food service distributors. After we were formed and we developed our transport routes, we were able to start working on a 365 program that allows for year-round deliveries using aquaponic, hydroponic, and indoor growing. Our membership includes more than 100 farmers, and we sell over 40 organic, 40 conventional, 10 processed, and 6 value-added categories. This allows our purchasers, whether they be food banks or grocery stores, to receive more than one product at a time, which is a super efficiency that they love. So let's talk a little bit about our role in LFPA. You can go to the next slide. So our role begins after the purchase order is written. So once your purchase order is written and you start packing your product, that's where Wisconsin Food Hub Cooperative will jump in. And we will basically be helping you with anything that you need that involves pickup, cooling, and transportation, as well as we may hook you up with one of the subcontractors of local distributors and aggregators that may be able to help you in your area. So we're hoping, I'll show you a map in a little bit, but we're hoping to expand the area that we can cover by involving a number of local distributors and aggregators. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so again, let's go through this workflow a little bit and talk a little bit about how we can help you. So your purchase order will be coming from Marbleseed, which is going to be based on that preseason contract that was already discussed. And then after that, we will be getting in touch with you to talk about how we can help you. So that help might involve us coming with a straight truck that has the ability to help you palletize your product. It could be that you have a lot of field heat in your product and you need it cooled down. We do cooling at our warehouse. It could involve us aggregating your product with others' product and delivering it. We have cooling services, freezing services for those of you that have frozen product. And again, we specialize in making sure that all those products can be aggregated together and delivered to the end user. So it's really up to the individual farmer and an end user to determine how much we get involved, but basically we're here to help. We've developed the expertise to work in this area, and we can answer any questions that you have along the way. All right, next slide. So really quickly, and you can find this on our website as well, these are the zones that our transportation company currently covers. So we currently are in the Chicago, Milwaukee, Oconomowoc, Kenosha area. And then on the other side of the state, Madison, Baraboo, Minneapolis, St. Croix, Augusta, and Hickston. And then we've also been in zone 6, which is the driftless area. And we're hoping to expand to the yellow circles that are on the map, which are going to be the Bayfield Ashland area, as well as Sauk, Columbia, Dodge, and Jefferson County. But again, where we can't deliver or pick up, we will be working with other partners that are already working in the state as subcontractors. Right, you can go to the next slide. So here's our contact information. Again, I'm Tara Turner. I'm the general manager and I do sales for the Food Hub. And Sarah, I don't know if you want to jump on and introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Tara. You did a great job with all the info, so I don't have anything to add there. I work as the Director of Development for the Wisconsin Food Hub Cooperative, and that really is like helping us get in touch with other networks and build these collaborations. So we're really excited to be part of this LFPA program.
Great. Thank you, everybody. I see that the chat has some conversation going, and I'm sure people have questions. I'd like to open up the time for questions and discussion from anybody on the call. So feel free to unmute yourself, ask questions, make comments. We can start having a conversation. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? This is Kat Becker from Cattail Organic.
Hi, Kat Becker.
Hi, I have a couple of logistical questions. So I'm assuming the grant applications will have more information about asks and distribution, but are we able to bring our own partners to the table? So myself and some other farmers, we're in north central Wisconsin in the Athens area, have some current partnerships working on with food bank organizations specifically, as well as options to work with senior Meals on Wheels for some counties that are north of us. And so we're just trying to figure out how the money works. Like, are we allowed to say, hey, we have been doing a CSA style distribution that goes into food banks in the central Wisconsin area with another farm? Can both of us apply for money separately to expand those efforts? Does it have to be new efforts? Like, what does that look like? And then the second question I have is the logistics support by Wisconsin Food Hub. Is that paid for by us, or is that grant money?
I'm going to jump in and answer your question, but I have a feeling Marbleseed and the Wisconsin Food Hub may want to add on to my comments. But yeah, please, yes, bring your own. If there's something happening in your community that you're part of, that's an innovative solution that's been addressing the needs of that community, by all means, that's exactly the type of project that we want to support in this process. And so that would, I think, be something that like the farmers can apply for with Marbleseed. The only piece of that we would have to clarify is that this is a USDA funded program, and the funding can't supplement other meal programs. So we'd have to look into to make sure that we're following the guidelines for what USDA funding can be allowed to be used for in this program, and so making sure that there's not a conflict there. For instance, like we can't support a school meal program, for instance. That's a separate pot of funding, and that this funding is not for that. So where the Meals on Wheels comes in, I'm not sure. But once we work through that, yes, all the farmers who are supplying can apply for funding through Marbleseed and continue to grow the programs that you're already involved in. And the funding for distribution comes through the grant. So that's not a cost of the farmer. And I'll let Marbleseed and Wisconsin Farmers Union tag on to those comments. Lori, did you want to add anything to that in terms of the grant program?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. I'm noticing that there are questions about applying as aggregators. I mean, I think at the end of the day, given the limitations that April just mentioned, that any way that we can support producers in kind of not only increasing their markets, but also addressing food insecurity in our state, this is a great opportunity for growers to be able to do that, particularly because there is some money pre-season for farmers. That was kind of the point of this, so that it's not going to producers after the fact when they haven't scaled up to provide the food that's needed and asking for the food at that point. We're planning for it ahead, which is really exciting.
Kat, did that address your question fully?
It pretty much. The only other part of it I was wondering about is like multiple growers. So there's another grower on this phone call, Stacy from Red Door Family Farm. We've worked on developing this farm to family food box program with the Hunger Coalition in Marathon County. And, you know, obviously, if we both bring $5,000 to the table, that's a much bigger community impact. But it would be good to know if our grants will be less competitive if we're applying for money that goes to the same effort. I guess that's the other question that we both have, since we're working with multiple organizations that do hunger work in communities near us. So, you know, should we both be applying for the same program? Is that allowed? And is that going to change our ranking?
It is definitely allowed. There are multiple programs at bigger scale, for instance, that like through the Hunger Task Force or the Wisconsin Feeding Wisconsin programs, where I think that there will be multiple farmers applying into those programs and applying to do so. So we know that not just one farmer can supply all the needs of a program like this. So I would say yes, by all means, multiple farmers can apply for supplying for a program that's effective. I can't speak to the ranking on things, but the goal is really to assess what communities need additional support, how this program can help that, and then connecting farmers to those programs. So for instance, if your program was in an extremely affluent community, that may impact the scoring in your grant. We're really looking to get food, really increase equitable access to this program.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Patrick Gallagher. I'm with Stepping Stones of Dunn County. This has been really informative. We for 2 years now have been running what we call our Farmers Feed Dunn County program, where area growers contribute food to our pantry, and we make small purchases in addition to their donations. Not many, but we're getting tens of thousands of pounds of produce into our food pantry that way, that we distribute throughout Dunn County. And I see some parallels as far as the goals with this, but I'm wondering, with a county food pantry and pop-up pantry network, and in the same county, a list of a dozen to 20 growers, how could we facilitate using the resources that are available in the organization that's available here to help solidify things and maybe increase the meat and eggs and some of those other things that we're having a hard time getting now? I'm just opening that question up.
Yeah, I can start with that. So part of the funding that is through the Wisconsin LFPA program is that there's some funding that can support organizations in supporting farmers. So if there's a group of farmers that need additional support in applying for grants and participating in the program, those organizations should connect to Marbleseed and work with the Marbleseed staff to discuss your project and how to support farmers in participating. And so I think that would be, I think that would be a question that would go to Marbleseed. And we also additionally, we have office hours following. We have 6 office hours scheduled, and we'll list, and they're on our website, where we can really kind of dive deep into some of these projects and solutions and how to approach that. But I think that there's definitely opportunity to support producers in the situation that you're referring to, and for your organization to work with Marbleseed to provide additional support and collaborate on, kind of building that component.
Thank you.
Dan Cornelius, you have your hand up.
So my understanding of this program from USDA when it was created, that it was really targeted for supporting socially disadvantaged producers and then distributing to historically underserved communities, I believe is the language that was included with when this program was created. Can you just speak a little bit more? How are you going to reach, I heard kind of tidbits, but more specifically, how are you going to reach those socially disadvantaged growers? How are you going to reach the growers that haven't been participating in all of these programs and getting all of this funding over the past couple of years? What's the strategy for reaching those growers?
That's a very good question, and I'm gonna talk on that a little bit. Sorry, had technical difficulties earlier. So the way that this is gonna, on my end, this is Daisy, this is the local food purchasing specialist for Marbleseed. I have been reaching out directly to minority farmers that I have come across since living in Wisconsin. And I have been doing a lot of social media outreach, phone calls, knocking on doors. And you're right, there are a lot of socially disadvantaged producers that are not on social media, they're not on a website. And this takes a little bit more of a direct approach on my end. I'll go knock on those producers' doors, and I have let them know about this webinar. And if they're not able to get on a website, on a computer, like some of the producers here that were able to, I will go ahead and touch bases with them again. And it's a more personal approach. I'm Mexican American. People see me, the minority farmers see me, and they feel comfortable talking to me. And that's how we're, at least on the northern Wisconsin side of things, that's how I'm going to approach the minority farmers, BIPOC farmers, and just explain to them and help them through the technical side of things and how they should meet the procurement platforms and how they should go about doing this program. So that's just a little bit, Dan, on what I'm doing on my end. And you and I have worked together before, and that's basically the approach I'm going to be taking. Very personal. Farming is personal, as much as most of you producers know, and that's how up here in the northern part of the state, that's what I'm going to be doing. So there'll be a lot of hand-to-hand, face-to-face communication, phone calls, knocking on doors, and just making sure that our producers, our BIPOC producers, at least hear about this opportunity, and we'll go from there.
Julie, you have your hand up as well.
Yes, hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is Julia McGuire. I'm a farmer in Lafayette County. I have 2 questions. A is that's piggybacking to the last person. Like, I think you mentioned that 80% of the grant money that Marbleseed is distributing should be going to disadvantaged farmers. The deadline is, the deadline is really fast, November 30th, when the application is available. What happens if you don't reach the 80%? will you distribute the funds to other farmer groups? That's one question. The second is, and maybe it was mentioned and I just didn't catch it. Do the applicants or the grant recipients have to find the market for the produce that they will be, growing or distributing through this grant, or is Marbleseed or some other aggregate is going to provide the market for this additional produce? And thank you.
Laura, you want to take that one?
I can. So just a clarification, I guess we're hoping to have the application available by the end of this month, but we're keeping that application open all the way through January is the hope. So that there's a lot of time to do the outreach that Daisy described, and then kind of think about how we can build networks using that same approach, which is why we have some funding as well to work with partner organizations that that can do the work that Daisy's already started doing on our behalf up in northern Wisconsin. So there's that. And then I think in terms of the markets, in this particular instance, because the food that we have available to give directly to farmers to address food insecurity, the partnership is developing kind of, I guess, markets, and I'll put that sort of in quotes, because that food has been paid for by LFPA. So that's what's kind of exciting about this, and this ability to keep local food local, because potentially a farmer could go to their local food bank and just pass off that food because it's already been procured, it's already been paid for. But also at the same time, the partners and DATCP are really committed to ensuring that if the scale up is happening through this opportunity, that those markets continue to be available post this grant funding. And so I think we're going to all be working together as a community to make sure that whether it's, schools, institutions, wholesale markets through the food hub, that these market opportunities remain available, so that the scale up and infrastructure investments that farmers make through the LFPA will carry them forward and carry their businesses forward and keep them sustainable after this opportunity. And anyone feel free to jump in there. I don't know if somebody from the Food Hub wants to address that. I just know that there's been a lot of conversation as the partners came together about ensuring there are markets post this opportunity.
So in terms of the markets, and Lauren, I'll pass off to you when I'm done, but because I think you can talk about the communication hub components. But we've worked pretty closely with our food security partners, the Feeding Wisconsin and Hunger Task Force, and they have developed quite a lot of programs, and have the capacity to move more food than we will possibly be able to procure with the funds that we have. So we are partnering we are partnering with those organizations so that they are able to receive food and continue to build the programs around local food purchasing that they have already developed. But we are also hoping to engage community efforts that are not through those two networks, and or are partnering with those two networks and looking at some innovative solutions. So if you're a producer and you have product and you want to participate in this program and you want to sell food to the program, between the DATCP staff and the partners and all of these organizations, we can work together to find the right fit for a farmer that wants to participate, so that it's not only is it something that is valuable to you with this program, but that it's something that we could anticipate supporting that farmer beyond this program. And Lauren, maybe this is an opportunity to talk about the communication components that you'll be adding.
Yeah, certainly. The Wisconsin Farmers Union is not actually involved in the granting process and the procurement logistics process. So I'll just start there. But what we are doing is really focused on producer mapping. And basically we're taking a platform that was built for Chamber of Commerce style websites so that people can list themselves and some basic information about their farm operation and their products, and have that be broadly available to the public for searching purposes. And so then institutions and food pantries and restaurateurs and even direct consumers would be able to search maybe by a zip code and the category of product, like a certain type of meat, for example, or produce, and be able to find farmers within a certain radius of their zip code and be able to reach out to those people for more information. And so that's sort of one of the big pieces that we're hoping to offer to this project, is to actually help people kind of raise their hand as producers who are interested in being contacted, whether it's to direct consumers or these larger wholesale sorts of arrangements. The other piece of it is certainly the website, and trying to post as many opportunities as we can for people within reason to try and connect themselves into local food system efforts in their area. And so I don't know all the details of exactly what that will look like yet, but as we've been speaking with some of the hunger relief organizations, for example, and full disclosure, I am also a farmer in Dunn County. So I was excited to start learning about some of the opportunities that are already available through some of these organizations. The Farm Link program is just one of many examples, and learned that there were some other grants and opportunities available for people who wanted to get their products into the homes of people who are food insecure. And I guess just from a very personal perspective, I don't know many farmers who wouldn't happily give away all of their food if they could make a living doing so. And so I think trying to pool as many of those resources onto lists and just make them available for people, help people know what's out there, is a big part of what Wisconsin Farmers Union is hoping to do. Make sure that people are able to access those opportunities, and that you don't have to be a total insider necessarily to know all the cool things that are available to you to engage in some of these projects. So, we're looking beyond the life of this 2-year grant cycle and trying to think about how do we actually build food systems that can support both our farmers and all of our communities that eat, which is everybody, and do that in a way that it's kind of stable and consistent for the long haul. So that's where our kind of end of trying to provide communication to people and pool these resources, make the partners known. That's kind of where we're coming from on all of that, is just making sure that we can build these more sustainable systems that are much more transparent to people and don't have some of the barriers to entry that maybe have existed in the past. Did that get at what you were hoping for, April?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And I was thinking about Dan's question earlier as well, in terms of how are we reaching people. And I think that is really the, that is one of the main questions to answer through the course of this project. And I think with our partnerships, I think we have a decent reach and strategy, and that's laid out in those hexagons of what responsibilities each partner is taking. But then also, we really need, to Lauren's point, we really need to build our network of, organizations that support socially disadvantaged and historically underserved producers. I see a lot of people on this call that are from those organizations. And so we are really hoping that you will participate in the networking to reach producers, to support producers, and to spread the word. I think there was 102 participants on the call, and we're hoping that those of you who are here will continue to engage and find that piece where this work overlaps with the work that you're doing, and that we can really, through Daisy's point of direct personal contact, really reach producers who can benefit from this program and give them the support that they need in order to engage it. feel free to raise your hand or unmute and continue to ask questions. There's also a lot happening in the chat, so I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer to maybe pose some of those chat questions so that I think most people are online, but there are some phone numbers who have called in, so people on the phone cannot see the chat.
Evans asks, how will producer and or aggregators make sure they can be listed in the directory?
So as soon as it's live, I'll have a little bit more information about exactly the details on that. But that wilocalfood.org website, at this point, it has a sign up for more information piece at the bottom of the page. And so in the short term, if you want to make sure that you don't forget to circle back, you could go and drop your email in that sign up and we will contact you when there's some more information available. But there will be a kind of an application process that will be linked through that website as well once it's up and running.
And is the intent that all the funds will be spent during the 2023 growing season? And then just to add on to that question, someone asked how much money was being spent directly on food and the percentage of the grants spent on food and going directly to producers. So those two kind of go hand in hand.
Kara, I don't know if it was just my computer or from your end, but you broke up during those questions and I didn't catch them.
John Bartholomew asked, what's the time frame for the project? And what is the intent for all the fund? Is the intent for all the funds to be spent during the 2023 growing season? Coupled with TR Edwards asking, what is the total size of the program budget wise and how much is going directly to foods? How many farmers will be touched?
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So the size of the program currently, we have a cooperative agreement for $2.94 million. 1.5 million of that is going to food procurement. There is a second round of funding that has been offered by the USDA, but we don't have any details yet on how that will be distributed, how much funding that will be. So our current plan is that to Sean's question, in the 2023 growing season is when we would do all of our procurement. And with the second round of funding, we are not sure yet if that will be in the same year or an additional year. We obviously see pros to extending it into an additional season, but we just don't have enough details yet to know how that is going to play out.
Great. And Louise Minasan is asking, is the November grant application for individual food pantries?
Yeah, I can answer that. So starting in November, on November 30th, there'll be a grant available for producers to apply. And Marbleseed can speak better to that. The pantries are not the applicant, but they can certainly be included as a recipient in coordination for that application. But Lori, maybe you're better to speak to that than I am.
Yeah, the funding that we have in our budget is for direct procurement of food. So we'll be working directly with farmers to procure that food, and then the coordination of the various pantries and networks for food insecurity across the state would, as April said, benefit from that procurement.
Okay. Next question. Amanda Chu asks, at Marbleseed, will you be able to work with farmer marketing and or sales hubs?
I think potentially we can. That would be the same sort of thing as aggregators. I mean, the point of the program at the end of the day is to work directly with producers at the front end of the season for all of those things that go into food being available at the end of the season. So that's where we're really focusing our efforts, is working with farmers. If food hubs or marketers have access to farmers and want to bring those farmers to the application process, the funding has to go to farmers for the procurement of food directly. And I don't know, April, if I misspoke there, but that is my assumption.
Yep, it was well said. There is some funding. I mean, one thing that we really talked about is, recognizing that, and partially recognizing through multiple conversations with community organizations and farmer advocacy groups, that yes, the procurement funding that of the application that Marbleseed has, that funding goes directly to farmers. But there is a need for aggregation companies and distribution companies to engage and support those processes. We know that there are many around the state that are already doing that. So where do those aggregators engage? There's some funding through subcontracting with the Wisconsin Food Hub for aggregators to participate, provide services, support their producers, because they're clearly an important part of a supply chain to food security efforts or institutions or schools. So we want to make sure that those aggregators are able to participate and be compensated for their participation. And so that is a communication that the Wisconsin Food Hub could support. And as we build our program, we'll have more information, but definitely come to office hours that will be posted. Reach out to the Food Hub and learn about that. And then also our nonprofit organizations as well. I mean, I think some of that work can happen through aggregation businesses supporting that. There are other projects that I've been engaging on that type of work is happening through a nonprofit, and those nonprofit organizations should reach out, that are supporting farmers should be reaching out to Marbleseed and learning how your work fits into this. And and that's something that we'll, over as we develop the project, we'll be solving that. Where does a nonprofit organization that advocates and supports socially disadvantaged and underserved farmers fit into our food system? And that's the work we're doing together. And there is some funding available through the Marbleseed, to support nonprofit organizations in that work. So I would reach out on that level if you're a nonprofit organization.
Great. Laurel Blomquist asks, what about the thousands of pounds of food that are lost each season due to lack of processing facilities? Are there resources to connect farmers to processing so that this food is not lost?
Not directly with this program. I think that there are other resources that are available to connect farmers to processors, but we do not have funding allocated with the Wisconsin LFPA for that specific work. Not to say that it couldn't happen through some of the connections that are made and the networking that's happening here, but we do not have funding for connecting farmers to processors. But there are creative solutions within the body of funding that we have for this and other programs. So maybe somebody else has a different answer than I do.
Sean, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I got a couple additional questions. So I am a food aggregator, and one of the things I've noticed when working with underserved growers or small growers is the need for providing guidance on pack size, packaging, quality, and things like that. Is Marbleseed going to be providing that to new growers? I got two other questions after that.
Tara, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I think the Marbleseed will be providing technical support, but WFHC will be in terms of growing, but in terms of the, stacking the pallets, pack sizes, USDA specs, etc. Food Hub will be here to help with those questions. And I saw also that Kat made a comment as well about support. I think one of the things that's great about this group of partners is that we all have mentors that farmers can be set up with, or contacts that farmers can be set up with if we're not individually already helping them, to work on either technical specs for growing, packaging, how to pack your boxes, how to put them onto a pallet, how to wrap them, how to cool them. Basically the A to Z of from when the crop comes out of the ground all the way to when we get it to the end user.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Tara. That answered one of my other questions. So you're awesome. And then just a suggestion, one of the barriers for small growers is also the buying of packaging. So if there is just a way that we could bring together a buying group to purchase packaging for growers that are awarded contracts, that might be knocking down one of the barriers for growers. A lot of times they don't, the extra cost that we have to pay to get, 50 boxes shipped versus semi-load, it's pretty significant. So just where to get those and what to expect would probably be pretty helpful for growers.
Sean, I do definitely see that as a barrier, especially for small growers. And it's something that in the past we have helped out with, and we certainly can help out with again. Oftentimes if we can deliver packaging when we're picking up somewhere, it helps out the grower, and it's a very efficient way to do that. So we can talk with the partners, but also be a resource for packaging.
Amanda Chu, have we answered your question about who the partner is deciding product packaging and boxing standards adequately? And then also, Gino C. from Kenosha Food Pantry Charity, they were keeping food waste out of landfills, and they wanted to know how they could work with us in this manner, if appropriate, and who they can connect with.
I'm sure this is probably more of a local issue of being located in southeast Wisconsin. By the way, this is Gino. Thanks for the information. You guys have been wonderful. It might be a lengthy discussion, so anybody who knows has contacts or resources, we certainly can discuss this by email. I left my email address for the charity on the chat room. I can repeat it if you want.
Great, thanks, Gino. We will reach out to you directly.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming. A couple questions for Tara for the Food Hub here. In terms of how close will pickups be? Are there hubs such as Lac de Flambeau, and each of the zones in the map have cooling facilities? Will pickups be added in the future?
Yeah, the zones that you see on the map are actual zones that we cover in less than a day. So our truck will go out into that area. They will do pickups and deliveries, and they will come back to the Food Hub where cooling and aggregation occurs. And then, as mentioned before, since we're not covering the whole map, we will be, reaching out to aggregators like Sean, who was on earlier, to fill the gaps that we can't cover. We already have a number of those relationships. And again, we need all of those partners to cover the whole map. In general, as a food hub manager, I work with a lot of other food hubs to make sure that we don't have a ton of overlap, and we try to cover each other when we can't logistically make something work for ourselves. So each of those zones that I showed you is just food hub, but again, between us and our partners, we will be able to reach the areas that are needed.
So they're all within 1 day and they all have cooling associated with those zones.
Correct. So all of our trucks are have reefers, and it is our job to make sure that we follow the cool chain all the way from the farm to the end user.
Great.
And one of the things I didn't talk about a lot, but if you do grow summer product that has a lot of field heat in it, like zucchini or yellow squash, you can reach out to me individually if you want, but we do provide cooling services for summer products to pull field heat out that extends the length of time that the product can be kept.
Anyone have any auxiliary questions for the Food Hub about that?
Question in the chat that are only Wisconsin farmers eligible. Yes, for the Wisconsin LFPA, only Wisconsin farmers are eligible for this program. However, there are multiple LFPA programs, I believe one in each state, and then several tribal LFPA programs. And so for this particular program, the Wisconsin LFPA, it is just Wisconsin farmers, but you can check with there are tribal programs that will be started as well as each state. So if you're not a farmer in Wisconsin, then you can check with those other programs as they are announced.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's coming and has participated in this. I think that we have a lot of strong partners in Wisconsin and amongst our tribal partners. We hope that we can really build a food system that is impactful for creating equitable access. And we do have upcoming office hours. I think they're about every other week on Thursdays from noon to 1. And this is for a place to continue this discussion, to network, to make connections. If you have a role that you want to play, if you want to participate as a nonprofit organization or as an aggregator, please attend the meetings and find your partners and put together, the piece of work that you want to do around this project. It is something that we'll co-create over the next year. So all are welcome, and you can certainly attend these hours or reach out to us directly. There'll be a web page to go to fairly soon. And I believe Kara has put our contact information in the chat. So please direct any questions to our email, visit our web pages, contact our partners, and we'll keep this conversation going. There'll be a major educational opportunity at the Marbleseed conference in February. So hopefully we will be convening there and, continuing to work together. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for coming.